All right, boys, welcome to day 3 of starting and scaling an AI agency to $20,000 per month from scratch. Now, in case you missed part 1 and 2, here's what you need to know in 10 seconds. I just moved to tropical paradise on the other side of the world.
If you had the power to dream,
with nothing but my laptop and a little bit of money in savings, and I need to sign a high-ticket client to make at least $5,000 in the next 7 days. Otherwise, I'm cooked. I'm on the first flight home. In part 1, I built the whole agency foundations. We're offering AI phone agents to dentists. Our offer is a 30-day money-back guarantee, and we got our whole GoHighLevel funnel and back-end sorted. In part 2, I went all in on outreach, launched B2B meta ads, scraped leads, and blasted AI personalized cold emails. And today, I've got my first sales call booked. And if I don't close it, I'm cooked. So, let's begin. Now, the random, rather handsome gentleman that you see on my screen is not there for no reason. This is the sales call that I had earlier today. Now, what I'm going to do is go through the whole thing. It's quite long. I'm not going to cut anything out because there's nuggets of sales wisdom and knowledge scattered all throughout. And what I'm going to do is just pause it at various stages to talk about the different things I was doing, what worked well, what didn't work well. And you can take these lessons and these principles so that when you have your sales call, you can crush them. So let's get started. Oh, how are you? Okay. I'm not going to go over the small talk. All I do for small talk, because I know this can be a little bit of an awkward thing for some of you, is just say hi, ask where they're from, get them to confirm if their business is based there as well, and then kick things off. It's that simple. You don't need to talk about the weather for 45 minutes because ultimately they know you're here to sell them. So keep it brief. If you know something about the place that these people are, you've been there before, you've got family there, something like that, touch on it very briefly, but don't spend more than a few minutes on the small talk. Then start to set the agenda. Cool. Well, first off, thank you for actually taking the time to hop on here. My goal here is really quite simple. All I want to do first is just understand your clinic's current process for handling patients and scheduling, to see if we can help. And then if I think the solution that I've got in mind is right and a good fit, I'll share my screen and share a few ideas with you. How does that sound to you? So, very simple way of setting the agenda. Now, this is literally something you have to do at the start of every call. You want to show this person, this prospect, that you're in charge. You've done this before, you know how it goes. You want to really clearly set expectations. And a really good way of doing this is, as you just heard me say, is my goal here is simple. I want to first understand more about your business. Then if I think we're a good fit, I'll show you the solution that I've got in mind. How does that sound? Now you say, how does that sound? Get them to give you permission to move forward and just make sure that you're on the same page, basically.
Good. So I'll give you, this will be slightly different to, I guess, most clients you work with. I own the dental practice with my wife, but I'm not a dentist.
Okay.
My background is system architecture and marketing for sort of enterprise applications, stuff like that.
So this is really important. Now, this is not something that you're going to come across with all of your clients, but when you do, like you just saw here, where your prospect isn't the sort of persona that you were expecting them to be. So as you just saw there, this guy runs a dental clinic, but he's not a dentist himself. He's a tech guy. Now that is going to completely change the way that I structure my pitch, the way that I sort of preemptively handle objections, the amount of technical language I use. Now, this is sort of as far on the spectrum you can go as having your prospect not be the type of ICP that you are expecting. A lot of the time it's going to be smaller differences, but you still have to notice them and then adjust your framing for the rest of the sales pitch so that it's more tailored to this person's thing. So for example, here, when I talk about the AI calling systems, I'm going to use a lot more technical language, talking about the actual platforms I use, API calls, the workflows we would use, a lot more than I would with the usual dentist, because this guy comes from a software, a marketing background.
Right. So majority of the technical stuff that you might be saying, I'll know.
And he says it right
give
there.
you an idea what I'm looking for.
He's spoon-fed me the answers there.
Keeping that as a background. So we are a fairly new clinic, opened about 1.5 years ago. One of the things, and it's private dental clinic. One of the things that I am coming to realize is for me to grow the business, I need to have a bit of automation.
So what he's just done is say, here's my solution or my endpoint, grow the business, and he's already bridged the gap between that where he's currently at, that endpoint, and he's already associated AI and automation as the bridge between that gap. So that's, again, going to change the way that I handle this sales call, because a lot of prospects, they still need to be sold on the idea that your solution is the bridge for them between where they're currently at, point A and point B. But this guy already knows, he already understands that. So a lot of the selling points that I'm going to have are not going to be related to how it solves the problem.
Right. So at the moment, I have got run ad campaigns for sort of high-end treatments. Things like Invisalign, implants, which are $3,500-4,000 sort of thing. And those actually, as the leads come in, it goes into, I've got GoHighLevel as CRM on the front end. Mm-hmm. It goes into that. There is a chatbot that engages them, asks a couple of questions, and takes them to the process where you leave them the call to action is to book an appointment, right? If that doesn't work, then it automatically flicks over to either giving them a call or getting one of the girls to give them a call and talk them through. Because sometimes elderly patients, especially, they prefer to have a conversation rather than chat on text.
Okay, so I'll go into a lot more detail about this, but what this guy has done is said, not only do I need inbound receptionists, because that's what all my advertising messaging and my funnel was about, was an inbound receptionist, but he's now he's diagnosing another problem that he has with leads that are coming from meta campaigns and stuff, doing outbound AI calls to them. So normally what you'd have to do is really dig, like present the inbound AI caller and then dig for any other use cases. But this guy's just presenting it for me so that I can very easily upsell without having to do any of the digging. Absolutely.
So, and then they're booked in. Now, while that is happening from a marketing, paid advertising perspective, and we also run sort of Google ads in the similar sort of way. But Google ads are more for things like emergency appointments and stuff like that. One thing I realized is the receptionist is busy answering things which can be automated.
Yep.
Where a voice or chat can answer a lot of those questions. Mm-hmm. And she can add a lot more value to patients actually face-to-face sort of thing coming into the clinic. Yep. And so I am looking for a solution where you have an AI voice that is answering calls coming in, mm-hmm. and triaging them, finding out what is you, and helping them to book appointment. Wonderful. Or answering their questions for them, right? Or confirming. A lot of people just ring up to say, "I've got an appointment. I don't know what time it is."
Okay.
Right. So,
and then again, he's given me another upsell opportunity. He says, the marketing side of things, the inbound receptionist is busy, and there's people who call me and say, "When's my appointment?" So he's just giving me so many different use cases to upsell him into.
Confirming that.
Yeah, yeah. So
now, one of the challenges I've had so far is whatever solution it needs to integrate with Dentally, which is the practice management software, to be able to look, and there are APIs there. I can do it, but I just don't want to do it.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay, so there's a lot for me to dig in there. Number one, I want to make it very clear with all the clinics that we work with, our goal isn't to mm-hmm. completely automate your front desk. If you want, that's an option. But what most clinics prefer us to do is take the load off the receptionists, shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Do the high leverage stuff. So I said that there because he did say earlier, my receptionist is kind of busy. So I wasn't sure if that was actually going to eventuate into an objection where he says, no, I don't want it to fully automate my receptionist. I just want to do it when he or she is busy. So I quickly address this objection by saying, hey, just to be clear, we can either fully automate it if you want, but what a lot of people prefer is just to have it take some of the burden off their receptionist shoulders. And especially for that older demographic, if you've got a lot of senior patients that come in, they don't want to talk to an AI, so it's always good to have that option there. Now, I'm not sure you saw my face there when you mentioned GoHighLevel, but my face lit up. I've been using HighLevel for probably close to 3 years now. So that is fantastic that that's already a system that you're using and you're familiar with. That just makes my life a whole lot easier. Now, just to clarify, pretty simple. He's already using HighLevel, and that's going to be a USP for me. If he's hopped on a sales call with 2 or 3 other companies and they don't already have all their things set up in HighLevel, that's just going to be another friction point for him, and it's going to make my offer seem more attractive. Yep. So you mentioned you've got a flow of leads coming from ads and stuff as well. So I just wanted to check, are you looking for a system to not only follow up outbound with the warm leads that come in from the advertising, but also as an inbound receptionist, or just the inbound? So very, very quickly, sorry to interrupt you, very quickly, when I was going with those questions is, what we've been using recently is constructing basically an AI response. So when the answers that people actually put on those forms is sent to a GPT request, and then they're actually sent an individual message that basically positions the treatment that you're offering as the solution to their concerns. And if there's a question on there like, what have you tried before? It will explain to them, hey, this is why what you tried before didn't work, and this is why our solution will work. Another few options that we've been doing is, so that's as a text message. We've done voicemail calls. So I'm sure you know HighLevel has the option to send people voicemails. So something that we've done in the past is you or a member of staff records a voicemail, and then every time someone submits that form, is they're sent that voicemail, but it looks like you've actually tried to call them. And because it looks like a personalized voicemail, we get a pretty positive reply rate, and then you can have a chatbot or something jump in there. Another option is having an outbound AI caller. That, again, similar to that individual GPT request message, the AI will basically be prompted specifically with what this person has submitted on the Facebook form. So not only is that call getting to them instantly, but like a receptionist would, it has a look at the individual responses that this person had and can actually qualify them, book them in, do part of the selling for you. I think that it sounds to me like you've got a solid system already in place for that. What would you actually say is your biggest problem with this current outbound system to these leads that are coming off the ads? Is it you want to automate it, but conversion rate's good, or is it more so the conversion rate's not as good?
Conversion rates are not as good.
Okay. So I just gave him a bunch of different options to basically qualify myself as someone who can do outbound systems as well, and upsell him into that. Again, he probably came in with inbound, so the more credibility, the more ideas, the more different workflow options. And again, I was being technical because that's the kind of person he is. The more I can give him there shows him that I can also do outbound.
So what I want to try to do is,
and that question that I asked him about, is it conversions or is it about automation, is going to change the different pain points that I dig into and the way I present the solution later. Just to get some more information about the inbound stuff, what happens when your team misses a call at the moment? Do patients leave voicemails? Do they call competitors? How big of an issue is it?
They leave a voicemail. First they go into a queue, right?
Yep.
So there's multiple lines coming in, and then it goes into a voicemail. Think someone will call them back.
Okay.
We get between 10 and 15 voicemails a day.
Okay.
Because they only wait in the queue for about a minute before it flicks them to voicemail.
Yeah. Okay. So
because I had it at 2 minutes, but people would hang up then.
Yeah. So 10 to 15 calls a day. That's quite substantial. That definitely builds up over the long term. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. And so just getting to him to repeat that that's a big problem, because 10 to 15 a day, and I'll run the numbers in a second, is quite significant. So I want to just tell that back to him. This is quite a significant problem. Get him to confirm that. Getting him in the state of mind. The main impact on your business with these missed calls is...
Sorry, it's not 10 to 15 a day. It's about 10 to 15 a week. So it might be only 3.
Okay. I forgot he added that caveat. Still quite substantial. Still quite a
3 to 4 a day. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's slightly more reasonable. And I assume the impact that has on your business is a combination of lost revenue, frustrated patients, inefficiencies, things like that.
Yeah.
Again, just getting him to repeat that. If you can get confirmation on those things that, yes, this is a problem, get him to agree that it exists.
And people going elsewhere.
The way to go. And he's just got back to me. He's added to it. I'm sure a massive pain point is going straight to your competitors, which unfortunately happens. And have you tried hiring more receptionists, or have you sort of just discarded that option as it's too expensive? Again, I'm getting him that question to just say, yes, this is a problem. Yes, this is a problem. And I've just asked him, have you tried the other solution, or have you just discarded it because it's too expensive? I'm sure you see what I'm doing here. Getting him to repeat that this is a problem, then sort of making him realize. So I'll actually dig into this a little bit deeper, because this is something interesting about sales. What you want to do is have people come to this realization themselves. So I said there, I didn't just go, okay, well, AI is going to be great for you because it's so much cheaper than a receptionist. You shouldn't even consider that because that's just going to be so much more expensive. So let's talk about AI. I said that question that way very specifically because I'm getting him to come to that realization. I ask him that question, which is basically just blocking out any other possible options at solving this problem so that we come to the conclusion of AI.
Yeah, I've totally discarded that option because that's not the way I need to go.
See, there you go. Okay. All right, now if you...
So I see the receptionist...
No, you go on.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Sorry.
No, I see the receptionist enhancing the customer journey.
Yeah.
And the whole experience of someone walking in and not having a receptionist on the phone, but be there to greet them and guide them through for their appointment, as part of that appointment.
Yeah, okay. So just so I get a feel for numbers, if that's 10 to 15 calls a week, what do you think that adds up to in terms of missed appointments and revenue per month? Like, do you have a number in mind?
If you work on an average value of, say, £250 per appointment,
yeah,
right? Whether it's a checkup and a hygiene appointment, that would be roughly what it is, right? But it's not just there are the two things. One is the lost revenue, because in between you might have some of the bigger ticket items where people ring up saying, I want to know a bit more about implants, and I've seen that you're running implant. You do implants. Can you talk to me about it? Which would be, it could range from $4,000 to $20,000, right? But those are the exceptions, because we are trying to lead people in through the ads for that, so that we manage that. But what I want to do is completely change the customer experience of people who are coming in, patients coming in on their book, so that they're greeted by a receptionist who's not on the phone, and there is a more face-to-face contact, so that that whole experience is different from what they would have at an NHS practice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Now, how much is...
So the patient should feel there's an exclusive thing.
Sorry, we're just getting a little bit of lag. I was just about to ask you, well, first, that makes a whole lot more sense. You want to enhance the in-person care and free up those receptionist time. How much...
I'll switch off.
Okay, yeah, I should probably do the same.
I'll switch off video.
How much revenue are you currently doing per month with the clinic?
So like I said, we're only about a year and a half old, right? So we're doing about 35,000 a month.
Okay. And so that's an important question that you should always ask your prospects, is just get an idea of the scale of their business. This guy said £35,000 a month. That's, I don't know how many USD, like over 50,000 USD a month. Pretty small clinic, but again, it's a fairly new one. Yeah, it's obviously hard to know how much in terms of revenue that's costing you, but let's just say it's another, 5.
I'll say another 15.
5 to 15. So again, what I was saying before about getting him to admit that it's a problem, I didn't just go, oh, that's probably costing you like 10 to 15. I'm asking those probing questions so that he explicitly says himself, yes, this is costing me £15,000 per month in revenue. So that when I actually present a 1 or 2K per month solution, it's just a no-brainer.
Yes, I agree. And getting to that point, so let's just say it's $50K per month. What do you think that would do for the clinic, considering you're only a year old? Are you looking to expand and turn this into something bigger, or is that more of a getting by point?
Yeah. So
now, again, this is a question that you should. There's a few of these that I've said are questions that you should always ask on sales calls. This is, again, getting them in a psychological state about what is that dream place. So what I've asked here is getting to $50,000 per month or £50,000 per month for the clinic. What does that do for the clinic? And by extension, he'll think, what does that do for me? So he's now thinking about, oh, wow, £50,000 per month. What would that do? Oh, we could get this new machine. We'll hire this staff for him. Now he's thinking about the dream state. And for obvious reasons, that's what
my
you're into.
my aim, I guess, is to get by the end of the year is to do about 850K.
Okay.
But for me to do that, I need to have all these things in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's much easier to be able to execute on my marketing strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think if you just continue doing what you were doing now, that'd just be a massive bottleneck for actually getting to that point?
Again, I'm just getting him to confirm. You want to get to 850K per annual, 850K pounds annual by the end of the year. Do you think that if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be able to get to that point? And I'm getting him to say, no, I can't do that. Now, this is all just textbook sales stuff, and I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I really, really want to drive these things home because they are fundamental to selling. It's all about the psychological angles you take here, and you must be doing this on all of your sales calls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And he's agreed. That's all we'll be doing is putting on fires.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so thank you for answering all those questions. You give me a really, really good idea of what the issue is. I assume this is something you want to solve now. This isn't something that you're putting off to 2 or 3 months away.
And I've asked that question for obvious reasons. Getting him to say, let's do it now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I'm... so, in terms of technology-wise, I know GoHighLevel, to manage some of those automations, I've used make.com and then the connection with...
Essentially, we'll start by saying, obviously, hi, this is the name of your business. How can I help? And then there's usually about 1 of 4 things, or in most situations, commonly 1 of 4 things that people ask for. General questions about what the prices are, how long they take, things like that. It will have a full knowledge base of all the necessary information about your business so that it actually answers questions and answers them very, very well. Second option is scheduling appointments. So Dentally, as I understand, has a pretty comprehensive API. So we can definitely make an integration. Rescheduling as well, and then cancelling appointments. So those are the 3 big ones. And then number 4 would be, based on what you said, reminding people of their appointment times. So it'd use a similar function to the reschedule where it just locates an existing event. And I'll have to, once I actually dig into this, and
so the reason I pointed out before that this is a tech guy, so how I'm going to talk to him will change. I'm now talking about the individual functions, their workflows, and things like that, which I wouldn't, of course, bring up to a normal dentist because that'd just confuse the shit out of them.
Have a deep look at Dentally and their API capability. I'll be able to give you a definitive answer, but off the top of my head, I think an integration with Google Calendar would probably be the easiest. That can just be the familiar point between our AI systems API and Dentally, and maybe even some GoHighLevel stuff as well, because that's what I give to clinics as a CRM, because it can give you the transcript, the call recording, can put people at different pipeline stages based on what happened. And this is the part where things get a little bit confusing, because I normally give you a sub account in my agency's GoHighLevel, but you've obviously got one, and I'm sure your staff have logins and all of those things. So it might even be worth me. I could probably share the snapshots and stuff to your high-level sub account. Come in and build it up for you and
drop it out there. Yeah,
because I'm sure you'd have a sub account that's already all set up. I could just add a few workflows and things like that, and then you wouldn't have to. There wouldn't be an adjustment period. In fact, that's actually pretty good, because I'm sure your staff would much prefer just using an existing software instead of having to learn one from scratch. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so some numbers very quickly. £200 to £500 per customer. If you're looking at 10 to 15 missed calls per week, that starts to add up. So I think you're definitely qualified to actually have something like this in place, and it will save you, a lot in terms of the relationship you have with your client.
Okay, so this is an interesting one here where I've qualified him on his ability to work with me, which is it's usually the other way around on sales calls. But I've just diagnosed the problem, said, yes, you're losing this much. Okay, this is a problem. This definitely qualifies you to actually use an AI system. So that's an interesting psychological shift. I'm not sure if it really hit home here, but something that you can do.
They come in, also those over the phone, and then bottom line of revenue as well. So that's basically all the information. Again, I've normally got a presentation where I explain a lot more, but it sounds to me like you have a very solid understanding of how all of this works. Do you have any questions about any of that at all?
So have you successfully integrated with Dentally and with the chatbot actually booking appointments?
Not specifically with Dentally. We've used or had connection with a bunch of different booking systems. I know there's different ones in the UK to Australia and US. So we've used a bunch of different ones. And as I'm sure you know, the API integration is fairly cookie cutter. The interface can be a little bit different, but it's fairly straightforward stuff in terms of we already have all of the schedule, reschedule, cancel functions built out. And then we just basically have to plug them in, and it's all smooth sailing from there usually.
So I could have bullshitted him there and said, yeah, we've done a Dentally integration before, which is his individual booking system. I haven't. I wasn't going to bullshit him. I just put it as it is basically, which is we've already got all the workflows built out. Plugging them into your individual booking system is the easy part. We've already done the hard work.
Right. Okay. All right.
On that note, just to quash any lack of confidence that you have, our offer, I'm sure you saw this on the ad somewhere, is we basically offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So for whatever reason, if you're not satisfied with what happens in that first month, you basically have an option to get a 100% refund on the first month fee. There's a setup fee as well, but that first month's fee is fully refundable if you're not happy with what you've done.
Right. Okay. And what is the monthly? What is the setup fee and the monthly subscription?
Sure. So our monthly fee comes to £11.97 per month. So that's the one that's fully refundable at the end of the first month if you're not happy, plus a £1,497 one-time onboarding and customization fees. Here's what I think would make the most sense for the both of us. It sounds like you need not only the inbound receptionist, but having that system in relation to reactivating warm leads, following up outbound leads that come in through the ads. So if you could give me a list of all those different things that you needed from that, for example, following up with people who haven't come back in 6 months, they need their cleanup via an outbound AI call, things like that. If you could list them out for me so I can get a solid understanding of what other aspects I could offer to you, I could include them in the current pricing. So the pricing wouldn't change, but to make this make sense for you, I could give you the back end and the automations for all of those things that you need. How does that sound?
Right.
Okay. So you saw it completely skip there. It skipped like a massive chunk of the call. All he basically did was, after hearing that prices go, that's a bit out of my budget, but I do kind of need these other things done at the same time, which was the outbound, the people calling up saying, when's my appointment? So what I basically did is say, hey, it seems like you need some of these other things. What I'll do is I'll send you a list, and then you can pick what you need, cross off what you don't, and we could potentially move forward. Now, I did that instead of lowering my prices, because what I could have done here is like, no, that's out of my budget, and I could have just gone, okay, I'll lower it to £997 per month or something. But instead, I said, okay, instead of me dropping my price, what I'll do is keep my price, because this is actually a very high retainer, quite expensive. I'm not sure what that converts to in dollars, but anyway, I'm keeping that price, but I'm providing more value instead of just dropping my price.
Yeah, okay, no problem. On that note, I just realized I've got a call coming up. Is just drop me a line with what are the things that you currently do for others,
sure,
right? And that can be used as a checklist for me. I can add to it all the things that I can see I want to use it for.
Okay, so just to clarify, a list of things similar to that, giving people a 6-month call for their checkup, things of that nature that you can have a read through, add what you need, take off what you don't need.
Yep.
And then we can have another discussion at a later stage. With all those things written out, I'll say if I can or cannot include them in that exact same price, and then we can have a discussion about moving forward, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Back. You see? I handled objection fucking Aikido'd away. He said it's too expensive. I need these other things. I said, great. I want to keep that same price. I'll write a list. Maybe I can include some of them at the same price. Maybe I'll have to increase it depending on the features, and we'll have another call.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I'll let you go and take that call. Very quickly though, I think it would probably make sense for us to schedule a follow-up call in a few days' time so that I've had the time to write out that list. You've had that time to check it and add or subtract what you don't need.
So this is very important. Never leave a sales call empty-handed. You always want to have something booked in, even if it's just a follow-up, and always book that on, book the follow-up call on this call. Don't go, okay, we'll email and we'll try figure out a time, because a lot of the time they'll just ghost you. Maybe not intentionally, but it just happens. People get busy. So always book in a time for the follow-up call on the original. So I've got the follow-up call booked, and I'll see you guys after that follow-up call, and we'll see if we close the deal. All right, boys. So fast forward at least a few days, and 2 follow-up calls later, as you can see on screen, we have secured the bag. Now, I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to have to blur out, probably quite a bit, but I did want to show you it, give you some proof that we've secured it. He negotiated down from a £1,497 setup fee down to like 1,100 or something like that. Can't remember the exact number. Basically, he was able to negotiate that down because he already has a GoHighLevel sub account, so it's much easier and cheaper for me to do that. He also already has backdoor dev access into his dental CRM thing so that our AI phone agent API calls are made much easier. So yeah, he negotiated it down, but it's still really, really solid. So 3K USD, that's almost 5,000 Australian dollars for me. So all things considered, a pretty solid bag. Now in the next video, part 4 of this series, what I'm going to be doing is taking you guys live and giving you a walkthrough of how I actually set up the service delivery for this client. So not only am I building an inbound AI voice receptionist for his dental clinic, but I'm also doing the outbound stuff, because if you remember from that sales call, he also wanted me to have some sort of AI follow-up process for all the leads coming in from his meta ads. And this is going to be super, super important for you guys, because if you're starting your own AI agency, you need to learn the skills, or at least, obviously you might have devs who do this, but at least understand from a bird's eye view what these upsells look like and how to deliver on them, because a lot of your revenue as an AI agency owner is going to come from those upsells. It's not just going to come from the designated service that you got your foot in the door with. So as I said, I will show you those upsells, how I deliver on them, and you can absolutely learn from them. So I'll see you in that next part. In the meantime, as always, please join the Skool community down below. It is completely free. There are a ton of resources in there, more videos like this, more sales calls like this, and there's a 15-hour course in there, people sharing ideas. You get the point. I'd love to see you in there. But until then, I'll see you in the next part for service delivery.